I broke up with my boyfriend only 3 days ago, and he immediately took his new girlfriend on a trip to England. Feeling heartbroken, I went to a bar alone for a drink, only to end up spending the night with an attractive stranger. But when I woke up, he offered me money, like I was some sort of transaction. So I immediately went ahead of him and threw $200 at him, implying his skills weren't worth much. But when I arrived at the office later, I was stunned to find out he was actually my new boss. Declan leaned back in his chair, his tone sharp and dismissive. I thought people working for me would at least try to be professional. I didn't expect to see you here. It felt like a slap to the face. Sure, I made a mistake last night, but who was he to question my professionalism? I squared my shoulders, refusing to back down. Well, it's not very professional to bring up personal matters at work, sir, and since we're on the topic, maybe you shouldn't be so quick to judge. His expression darkened. Why couldn't I just keep my mouth shut? The silence stretched uncomfortably before Declan opened his wallet and slapped $200 onto his desk. Miss Beckett, he said coldly, I didn't expect to see you again, and frankly, I didn't want to, but since you're here, let me clarify, I'm a CEO, not someone you can pay off. Take back your money. My cheeks burned with embarrassment. Understood, I murmured, forcing a polite smile. Maybe we could just put this behind us and move on. But just as I started to exhale in relief, he tossed a $100 bill onto the desk. That's your reward for last night. It wasn't great, only worth that much. My jaw dropped. Did he just? I clenched my fists, biting back the urge to throw the cash at his face. Instead, I forced a brittle smile, picked up the money, and said, if that's all, sir, I'll return to my duties. With that, I stormed out of his office. Back at my desk, my friend Audrey immediately pounced. Spill. Why did the boss call you in? What did he say? I sighed, trying to brush her off. He wanted to clarify something about boundaries. What? She burst out laughing. Boundaries? What does that mean? There's nothing else to tell, I muttered, unwilling to share the humiliating details. No way was I admitting he insulted me with a $100 bill. Audrey wasn't convinced. Are you sure he didn't confess some hidden feelings for you? Like, maybe this is the start of some epic office romance? I cringed. Get that idea out of your head. I'm not interested. Seriously? Do you know how many women in this office would kill for him? She shoved a photo of Declan, clearly taken during a corporate event, into my face. I rolled my eyes. Sure, he was ridiculously attractive, but his attitude ruined it. Honestly, she pressed, what was it like sleeping with him? How could I explain that I barely remembered anything from that drunken night? Instead, I shrugged. Not impressive. If you're so curious, why don't you try it yourself? I wish I could, she sighed dreamily before retreating to her desk. Deep down, I couldn't stop wondering about that night. What exactly had happened? Declan might be arrogant, but he was undeniably good-looking. No, I told myself firmly, he's my boss now. I couldn't cross that line. That evening, I arrived at my Uncle Wilson's birthday party at the Cromwell Hotel, gift in hand. The venue was beautifully decorated, and Uncle Wilson beamed when he saw me. Tessa, I'm so glad you could make it, he said, pulling me into a hug. Happy birthday, Uncle, I replied warmly. After catching up with my mom, my sister, and Aunt Eleanor, I was ready to leave. My father hadn't arrived yet, and I wanted to avoid him and his new family entirely.